People in Japan are taking a moment to pause and remember the victims of the atomic bombing in Hiroshima 75 years ago. It was the world's first nuclear attack, and the city remains a powerful symbol of the devastation of nuclear weapons. Hiroshima fell silent at 8:15 a.m., the exact moment when the U.S. bomb struck the city. 140,000 people were killed by year's end, and many more exposed to harmful radiation. This year's Peace Memorial ceremony looked different from past years due to the coronavirus. About 800 people, less than 1/10 of the usual, attended. Social distancing was in effect, and some of the day's other traditions were scaled back. Hiroshima Mayor Matsui Kazumi urged the Japanese government to listen to atomic bomb survivors and sign a UN treaty to prohibit nuclear weapons. Nuclear powers like the U.S. and Russia do not support the treaty, and Japan, which relies on nuclear protection from the U.S., has not signed it. Prime Minister Abe Shinzo has maintained Japan will not join the UN treaty. In his speech, Abe vowed to continue efforts towards a world without nuclear weapons and said Japan will serve as a bridge between nuclear and non-nuclear states. A survivor who participated in the ceremony said she believes humans have the power to abolish nuclear arms.
There's no choice. We just have to eliminate nuclear weapons. I would like to continue our efforts so that no one else has to become a survivor of an atomic bomb.
Survivors known as hibakusha are getting older, with their average age now over 83, but many continue to speak out against the horrors of nuclear weapons. 75 years after the first atomic bombing, people in Hiroshima are evaluating the progress made to rid the world of nuclear weapons. This next report follows the great strides and significant setbacks in that global movement.
It's an image etched into our collective memory, a reminder of the worst pain humans can inflict upon each other. The atomic bombs dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki killed hundreds of thousands of people, many almost instantly. Soon after, the United States and the former Soviet Union began to stockpile the weapons. The United Kingdom, France, and China soon followed. By 1962, the Cuban Missile Crisis, fueled by Cold War tensions, brought the world to the brink of all-out nuclear war. Then came a breakthrough. A global non-proliferation treaty barred any country without a nuclear arsenal from possessing one. Still, stockpiles in the 5 nuclear powers grew. Atomic bomb survivors known as hibakusha have demanded more. They've called for an all-out ban.
I cannot die until I witness a world without nuclear weapons.
As the Cold War simmered, talks between the U.S. and the former Soviet Union bore fruit. The two countries disposed of thousands of nuclear weapons through the Intermediate Range Nuclear Forces Treaty and the Strategic Arms Reduction Treaty, or START. Since then, the global inventory of nuclear weapons has dropped dramatically, but an estimated 13,400 remain. India, Pakistan, and North Korea now also have nuclear capabilities. Israel has never officially acknowledged that it has nuclear weapons, but is widely believed to possess them. Then in 2017, hibakusha celebrated the adoption of a UN nuclear weapon ban treaty, but most major world powers have not yet signed it, including every nuclear state.
I beseech you, if you love this planet, you will sign this treaty.
U.S. President Donald Trump touted unprecedented talks with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un as a shot at peace. Instead, arms control advocates faced a string of disappointments. Trump pulled out of the Iran nuclear deal, leaving the landmark pact in jeopardy. Then came the INF treaty with Russia.
One side has not been adhering to it. We have, but one side hasn't. So unless they're going to adhere, we shouldn't be the only one.
Now another major Cold War treaty is at risk. The U.S. has stalled talks to renew the New START. Disarmament experts say losing this important pact would set the world back decades and create a situation where nuclear powers face virtually no restrictions.
I'm joined by Steve Leeper in Hiroshima. He's an American and was the first non-Japanese to chair the foundation that runs the Peace Museum. He now heads a nonprofit Peace Culture Village that is trying to inspire young people to carry on the legacy of atomic bomb survivors. Thank you very much for joining us.
Happy to be here.
Well, you have devoted your life to educating people about the dangers of nuclear weapons. The people in Hiroshima are very concerned about what the situation is looking like right now. How do you feel about it?
Yeah, I have to say that we are being led by people who are still terribly selfish. They're, I mean, the idea of America first or protecting your country against other countries, this is so obsolete. We really need to shift to cooperation, and that cooperation is, the fact that cooperation is required is being told to us by a virus right now. And I just hope that our leaders will come to understand that this is necessary. We have to work together.
You were actually at the ceremony this morning. How would you describe the atmosphere compared to the past years?
People were filing in and sitting 6 feet apart. It is extremely unusual to see that few people there, but the people who were there were being very solemn and silent. It was a really powerful experience, I thought.
You've actually developed close relationships with many of the atomic bomb survivors. What does this 75th anniversary mean to them, especially in light of what's going on with the pandemic right now?
Well, first of all, it was said after the bombing, the rumor was that nothing would grow for 75 years, nothing in Hiroshima. Well, that did not turn out to be true, but everyone is kind of thinking, okay, 75 years, it's now time for peace to grow here. We should have a peace movement growing here. And I can say that the hibakusha are also very, very frustrated. They are used to telling their stories, once a day. Many of them are telling their story once a day. And at this time of year, some of them are telling them 2 or 3 times a day. And now they are not telling their story at all. They are very, just sort of eager to go out and tell the world about the 75th anniversary, but they don't have the chance to do that. And we are going to try and do that online, but we have to get that going. That we will have survivors who will appear in front of audiences around the world. And I think we may, in fact, be able to have them meet more people this way. But it is a big change, and it takes some setting up. We aren't set there yet.
The hibakusha are aging, and their presence has helped to tell their stories. But once they're gone, how concerned are you that the words will resonate with future generations?
Right now, the younger people, and by this I don't mean people like me, I'm 72, right? And I'm just younger than the survivors. I'm talking about people in their 20s and 30s who are very concerned about this because of their Earth consciousness. The young people are vastly more aware of being Earthlings, people who live on this planet, than I was at their age. And they are eager to solve the climate problem, but in addition to solving the climate problem, they realize that the nuclear problem is a problem that must be solved in order to solve the climate problem. And there's a lot of energy for that around here among a surprising number of young people.
Thank you very much. Well, the coronavirus pandemic did prevent many people from taking part in Hiroshima's memorial ceremony, but this did not stop them from reflecting on that fateful day 75 years earlier. Among those unable to attend was 74-year-old Hamasumi Jiro, who lives in Tokyo. He was in his mother's womb when the bomb exploded. His father was killed in the blast. Hamasumi normally attends the annual ceremony at the Hiroshima Peace Memorial Park every year, but this time he did not travel due to coronavirus concerns. Instead, on Thursday morning, he offered silent prayers from his home while watching the memorial ceremony on TV.
It's very regrettable that I can't go directly. I am remembering many people who died, including my father. Please rest in peace.
Hamasumi also said he was encouraged to see children call for a nuclear-free future during the ceremony. Now let's go over to Biz News. Chinese technology companies are the latest source of tensions between Washington and Beijing. The U.S. is taking a tougher stance against certain apps, citing security issues. And Gene Otani from the Biz Desk has the details for us. Gene.
The theme definitely seems to be in the spotlight right now. Minoru, U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo has announced a policy that would limit the activities of Chinese communications firms, and he wants U.S. allies to join the campaign.
We want to see untrusted Chinese apps removed from U.S. app stores. We're protecting Americans' most sensitive personal information and our businesses' most valuable intellectual property, including COVID vaccine research, from being accessed on cloud-based systems run by companies such as Alibaba, Baidu, China Mobile, China Telecom, and Tencent.
Pompeo said TikTok, WeChat, and others are significant threats because their parent companies are based in China. The U.S. government claims that personal data registered with those apps are handed over to Beijing. Pompeo called on companies and other countries to join what he called the Clean Network.